I simply open the Apple Map, start to finding this city in real time. Maybe it's also a good idea.
We can definitely try
Yeah,
and find that.
they're everywhere. They're everywhere. All around the map.
I think Iceland shrunk, to be honest.
Let me
Especially,
open.
let me see, where do I have that old map? Hello, kitty cat. Why are you being insistent on being annoying? Hello. I thought I had an Iceland map. I was actually quite sure of it. Now I can't find it.
So you can see my screen now.
Here we go. Wait 1 second. This is the Iceland map I have.
Oh yeah.
And that's Iceland as being shown.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, it's really.
It looks really. It
It
has
looks
that
really, really
same
different.
features, but weirdly out of scale. I'll share your screen. Presento.
Okay, let me find some cities. Old city. I'm at Gibraltar. Last time, right? We are talking about Gibraltar.
Yes. Gibraltar Rock. Yes.
Gibraltar. Yeah, Gibraltar.
It's a shit word. It's a shit word.
Gibraltar. And we remember I showed the link talking about this underground city.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a very old one in Spain, also close to Gibraltar.
Gibraltar.
Yeah, really pretty close to Gibraltar. Yes.
Is that?
Yes, it's around. Maybe it's around this area. This area called Tarifa.
Yes.
Yes, Tarifa or.
Yeah, that's.
This might be an older Starfort, right? This one.
Tarifa, the south point, is a Starfort.
Yeah, it's
or was a Starfort. I mean.
Yeah, it's differently showing clear Starfort structure.
Yeah, especially the entrance shows the 2 points.
Yes, this
very clearly.
Yes, it's very clear. So my idea would be to like plan a trading route, like from a port city, for example, maybe Tarifa or Gibraltar, and we planning a trading route to another island or another country.
How's about Morocco?
Morocco, yes. For example, if so,
it would not surprise me at all. Because this is Ceuta, I think. Ceuta, I don't know how it's called. What? I wasn't friends with Andreas yet. No, we're not calling Andreas. I'll pass him a link. Copy. Paste. Andreas, we love you. You have the memory of a... What has a bad memory?
On memory.
Yes, Andreas has a bad memory. It's Tuesday real life, and he said
Okay.
he wanted to
Yeah.
go in a call
Yeah,
on Discord.
maybe he forgot. Okay, no worry. Maybe he will show up.
Good
So
morning.
now you give me the hangout link. Now I know where we are. 你好吗？很好。你好。
Hi, Andreas. Can you hear me?
Yeah, bro. What's up? How's it going?
Yeah, going well.
Excellent. 很好。
很好 yes.
we've
非常好。
been noticing a lot of Chinese things in Spain all of a sudden, which has been blowing my mind.
Oh, really?
So I'm in Madrid, and I'm really close to Franco's tomb in Guadarrama, and there's all sorts of monuments that have really interesting features, such as spiked out roofs that have gargoyles that would pierce dragons. They've got all these ancient myths that are seeming to connect old Formosan Tartarian Spain with Portuguese with the Dutch, and with the Dutch with Formosa and with Taiwan. So I've been looking into that more, but I'm kind of under the impression that there's something to that. Also, there's a lot of Chinese people that are moving to Spain. So there's a lot. It's interesting because there's a lot of Chinese communities here. So it seems like that it kind of is covering up any of the old artifice, because you can't really see anything after it's been augmented. So, who's to say what it will be like in 20 or 30 years? We won't be able to prove what it was like 400 or 500 years ago. So, sorry, what were you guys talking about before I brought all that up?
Tunnels from Gibraltar and or Tarifa into Morocco.
Oh, excellent. Thank you so much. I actually asked Lynn to look this up because I was there. I'll have some crazy footage to show you, and I'll probably upload it at some point soon. But I think Lynn, you probably mentioned you're kind of a dowser, which is a pretty magical skill. My grandfather was a dowser, but you're able to do remote viewing dowsing. So I like that you're doing remote viewing dowsing. So you said you were going to. I missed the first part. Could you tell me how it went?
Yeah, I'm interested in doing remote dowsing, but I need to. I need a target, maybe. Like maybe we can target in a older city, or
I think if you take these two in Gibraltar, it's right here, and then I don't know how you pronounce this, Andreas. Is this Ceuta? Ceuta?
Yeah, Ceuta.
Ceuta.
Yeah, look, this is also a Starfort.
Nice. That one was pretty good. You went so fast, but it was really observable once you said it, like the pyramid points.
Yeah.
That was pretty impressive. Look at that right there. You're so good at finding these. Oh my gosh. That's so obscured. You wouldn't even, they basically destroyed the whole thing except for one point.
I'm going to make it even more funny. Look at this tiny little blip.
Wow.
Look at it.
It's right there.
It's a teeny tiny little Starfort.
It's right there, yeah.
That's just like you've always wanted.
My own Starfort.
Teeny tiny Starforts with Mike.
Like Fisher Price is my first Starfort.
Okay, so St. Michael's Cave is where I was at, and there's also a mosque. Can you look up the mosque? King something. Go into Gibraltar. Go down. Computer, zoom in. Zoom in to Gibraltar. Computer, magnify 300%.
300%. 300%, huh?
All right. Well, calm down. Zoom back out. All right, computer, calm down. Computer, relax. Computer, have a glass of water. All right, go back. Whoa, calm down, computer. Zoom in again.
Slow down, man.
Don't go so fast.
I'm an old
Moving
386 with about
Oh my God.
400 something gigabytes of what is it, megabytes
Right.
of memory.
Let's trade dual core, Johnny number 5. I want you to find the mosque. Type in mosque, MOSQUE, or maybe just.
Hey, don't teach me spelling.
It should be
There's
right.
no mosque in Gibraltar.
Yes, there is. There's a. All right, go down. Go down straight down. Right there. There you go. You found it. There it is.
Oh.
Okay, so that was it. That's the spot. I think underneath here, you could probably find the tunnel leading this path. And I think the path goes further. I don't think it enters in the mosque. I think it enters in the mountain right behind the mosque. That rock, Gibraltar Rock, has caves that go deep. So if you either want to douse from the mosque, or where I think the path goes directly underneath, or from Gibraltar Rock, then look under St. Michael's Cave. I went in St. Michael's Cave almost like 700 meters. I almost went a kilometer south, or down.
In the Second World War, there was a bunch of Brits stationed in that cave, and they were
a bunch of what?
Pretty much ready to bomb themselves, to lock themselves inside.
Right.
To keep on giving the British information if Spain would have been conquered by the Germans.
Well, I was talking to somebody recently actually about the caves, because I was like, hey, these caves are short. I don't think Anglo-Saxon giants built these caves, but there are giant caves in there, right? So there's particular routes, which are the routes of the British from the 17th century, which are smaller, and they might be old, but they're probably not built by giants. And probably not built by Anglo-Saxons. And then someone I was talking to said, well, that makes sense, because if the British were to be building tunnels, they probably would be using their conscripted soldiers from the Galician Welsh region, which were shorter. So you had these Gaelic people, these Celts, who were like a lot shorter, about half the height of these 7-foot tall giants, these Saxon giants. So there are caves that are built multiple generations earlier by the Celts or by the British, but either way, that's very interesting, because either it was or it wasn't built by Celts. If it was built by the Celts in the 17th century, not by the, that's one thing, but if it was built earlier, well, it wasn't built by the Christians, it wasn't built by the Moors, it was built by the pagan Human, the Galatian Celts. And the Celts have,
really?
Well, they're speaking the same language that the Croatians, the Greeks, the Tartarian, Bulgarians, they're all speaking a language which is
I mentioned it because of that new sort of Mongolian rock band called The Who.
Oh, the ones that do the tater metal?
The what?
Are you talking about that tater metal song, that like Mongolian tater metal song?
Yes,
I love that song.
Yeah, well,
so
like
good.
they're called The Who, as in HU.
Yeah. How? Yeah, they're pretty good, actually. We should probably look more into the tater metal, actually. That's an interesting thing, because you've got a lot of nomadic people that are keeping their culture, and so Mongolians are people that are on horseback. They can travel thousands of miles. They're basically sharks. They're like sharks. They're like shark actors.
Look up that video. It's called UVU. And then hit the translate button.
Yeah. I can't do it from my phone right this second, but I shall.
It comes with translated lyrics, and you can definitely read that these guys are well aware of the fact that they've been effed over. There you go. Bleep free, effed over for the longest of times. What happened to our ancient history? What happened to the kingdom of the Great Khan, and why are we being betrayed by everybody that leads us? Why can the Mongol tribe not rise as a great nation once again, etc., etc.?
Well, okay. So we're verging on some crazy stuff here, but like some of the things I've been hearing, especially, have to do with the idea that the human race, of all of the different kinds of giants and dwarfs and things, have mutually different kinds of parasites, and so our augmented diversity has less to do with our ancient humanity and more to do with the parasites we have, which. Talk to a doctor sometime about what defines different nationalities, and you'll find like, okay, well, Caucasians have this genetic deformity, or Ashkenazi have this genetic. I mean, we have a guy who posts in this group all the time DNA chromosome sequences, as if that like that's all that defines them, is that they're the deformities and mutations. So if that, I'm not saying it is, but if that is the case, what that basically means is that all of us have like a national existence that was augmented with mutations, and then we're now counting the mutations as some sort of a value, which isn't actually the accurate core of the archive of sequence that we want. Like the intelligence, the giant, the dwarf, the bi system. You've got like the binary humanity has, you know, 2 lungs, there's like sort of two parts of the brain. You know, there's this thing where the human is basically 2 beings at once. You know what I mean? And then it's supposed to work with other humans. Like all of this communal things, that seems to not come from, you know, any one of these things, but is a core principle. So what are these other things? What maybe the parasites, because people talk so much about parasites, the whole planet being covered with parasites, and we're all in this mutation. And that's, you know, I mean, not to harp on it, but like it kind of is a Blavatsky concept, you know.
Very interesting.
So I digress. We're looking at the Gibraltar Giants. Look how big the rock is. St. Michael's Cave. Type in Gibraltar St. Michael Cavern. Would be a good thing to look at.
Is that
Because
Saint
St. Michael?
Saint Michael Cavern.
Yeah, Michael. St. Michael.
I don't even have a cavern.
You do, and it's big and it's lavish.
There you go. The Cave of Saint Michael.
You might like to look at some photos of the place, because the thing is that if you go straight down, there you go.
Wow.
Look at those beautiful caverns. Ah, man, I have some great photos of it myself and videos because I've been through it. But here's the funny part. There were some creeped out British kids. I guess it was too scary for 3-year-olds and whatever. So they ended up putting like LED lights in it. So it's like this Disney magic experience. Like, ooh, look at the colorful caves of St. Michael's all the way to the hell. Which is like, okay, first off, for thousands of years, they thought these caves literally led to hell. These were the caves to go to hell. If you were going to go to hell, you'd have to...
Hell was invented by William of Orange.
Well, okay, but before it was hell, it was Tartarus.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
So this is the Tartarus of Tartessus. So you could call it Hades or Sheol, you know, in the flat, you know. They call it the Sheol, which is like the under the earth thing. And like, but there's
like the whole mythology. There's very big differences between what William of Orange made up of as hell and what the Greeks thought of as hell, etc., right? Because the modern sort of
puritanical
sort of like fire and brimstone type of deal. That's all stuff from William of Orange to keep his people under.
Yeah, which is pretty weird if you think about it, because like, you know, he had to literally invent a place outside of hell that people go.
Yeah, because we don't listen. The Dutch don't listen. We don't care, but we don't listen either.
You know, I actually was just reading this concept that the tulip famine was not actually a real thing, but just sort of a hysteria in Amsterdam surrounding some people with the plague that were like completely insane. So they're like trading things for tulips, and it's all about like 1 month or something like that.
Tulips went completely batshit, but we stole them from Turkey.
Yeah, they're called. Well, they get the name tulip actually means turban. You know.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it is a bit of an upside down turban, isn't it?
Yeah, not if you cut them off to the ground. Crazy Dutch.
We don't cut them off by the ground. We cut the heads off.
On the bulbs will last for like 12 years. You know what I mean? Like everyone was pretty much into this crazy thing. Well, okay, all right. So sorry, let's not do the tulip thing yet. There's so many things I should talk about. I kind of wanted to talk about like Japanese regalia. I'll save it.
Let's give it a few seconds until Mr. Nathan shows up, because he had apparently gotten a bunch of stuff from Victor. I'm not all there. I got this new strain of weed, and it's sort of like hit me like a ton of bricks.
Well, that was full disclosure. So okay, well, I mean, but
yeah, I don't care about the full disclosure. People like smoke weed.
Yeah,
it's good for you.
Is the government okay with that where you are? That's the only thing. You know
yes, government is okay with that.
Oh, that's right. Okay, well then, yeah, fine. You know, you're where you need to be to do what you got to do.
And if the government is not, you still should do it.
Whoa.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I wouldn't fool around with the government here. The Guardia Civil is pretty serious. So, the brain of this event that I wanted to like kind of share is that there exists in Japan, and when Nathan gets here, we can talk about it more. But I bet you he already knows. There exists in Japan a sword, a jewel, and a mirror that are all over 1,000 years old, and are extremely sacred to Japan. They're also like very important to the point of their locations being unconfirmed. They're hidden. They don't want people to know. I mean, like the last time they were seen until recently was when Emperor Akihito was enthroned in 1993. And they were unpackaged for that purpose. But then in April, the emperor, he came, you know, what do you call it? He abdicated the throne, right? So when the emperor abdicated the throne, like they replaced him with his son. You know, he's like 70. He's like a new guy, but like his name is like Naruhito. Is that right, Naruhito? And then he goes by like because his new era that like the Tenohika Reiwa, like Reiwa, like Reiwa, and that's like the new era that's coming, and not just for Japan, but like for the world, you know. So, but it all comes down to these like, you know, these ceremonial the items which have existed since 690, but which is interesting because they're presented as being important as of like 1720, right? And then 1800s they become more important. This I've found out about like years ago, but I hadn't really put it together until recently. So I was talking to Ethan, Sander, in the group about how Japan never really surrendered appropriately. They didn't give up their money. They didn't give up their the emperor didn't disappear from Japan. The San Francisco Treaty is actually been signed for the United States to clean up the mess from dropping bombs on Hiroshima with B-29s and Nagasaki. Like this is some interesting stuff. So, all right. I mean, I only started hearing about this a couple of months ago. I haven't really mentioned it because I need to look into it more. But then I saw, you know, right before I was leaving, or maybe I had just gotten to Spain, the abdication of the Emperor Akihito, which was like a pretty big deal, you know, because it was like literally almost the beginning of May. It was like the 30th of the month. He abdicated, and it was like kind of crazy. And so Naruhito is going to be the new emperor. It's like, I mean, to be in the era of a new emperor of Japan is like more interesting to me than a new pope. You know, like it changes the world in very interesting ways. Like if you think about how Japanese culture through technology and fashion and food change things, just having a younger emperor really changes what's in vogue for an entire generation. Like basically what it means is the 80s is now the emperor. Like the 80s and 90s Japan are like the new way of being. Because like that's what I think he holds on to the most. So, all right, but the sword and the mirror and the jewel, they sort of represent different things like valor, wisdom, and okay, so like the sword's valor, the shield's wisdom, and the jewel is like benevolence or something like that. And it was thought that they were brought to Earth by Ninigi no Mikoto, no Mikoto, which is like the legendary ancestral like lineage that allowed for Japan to exist, basically. Like his grandmother, Miyamoto's like grandmother, is the sun goddess, and Amaterasu. Amaterasu is like the. You know, I feel like this is a part where I wish Nathan was around.
Amaterasu.
Yeah, you guys watch more anime than me. Amaterasu.
You don't
Like,
say the U.
Amaterasu.
That's unpronounced.
Well, okay. I mean, but you know what? Like, sue me. So, all right.
Okay, I will. Where can I send?
Amaterasu.
Where can I send that summons?
That's a great question. To my van. So, so the sun goddess was sent to Japan to pacify the world, and these three treasures were handed down to the Emperor Chimu, who was the first emperor of Japan, and it was also Ningi's great grandson, traditionally, right? So it's kind of this this Noah's Ark kind of story, and also Japan has this tradition. They believe that Jesus Christ died in Japan. Well, there are Japanese that believe that, and there's a cave where the Japanese Christians hid out. The hidden Christians of Japan are a very interesting bunch, and you know the Ainu natives there are very similar to the Taiwanese natives. So like they have an ancient tradition that sounds like they come from the deluge. There were giants, and then these are the survivors that lived in caves. And so Amaterasu hid in a cave from her brother Susanoo Neo no Mikoto, who thus plunged the world into darkness. And then the goddess, she hung the mirror and the jewels outside the cave, lured her brother into the cave, at which point she saw her own reflection. And when she startled enough, the other gods could pull her out of the cave. Susanoo later presented the sword to Amaterasu as a token apology. He had obtained it from the body of an 8-headed serpent, Orochi, Yamata no Orochi. So, at the conclusion of the Genpei War in 1185, the 8-year-old Emperor Ontoku and the regalia were under the control of the Terra clan. Terra, right? Like Tartara. Well, okay? So 1185 Tartara clan. And they were presented when the Tara was defeated by the rival Minamoto clan at the Battle of Dan no Ura, which was fought on boats in the shallow Kanman Straits. So you've got people that are in post-mud in deluge that are in shallow boats that are fighting. And these boats, you know, they're led by whom? A child emperor? Who do you have a child emperor for? Well, that's when the king gets killed and the son is a baby and the military stays in charge, right? So you've got this this child, and he's got a sword and he's got a jewel and he's got a shield that's a mirror. And this is a thing that Victor's brought up a lot, is the mirror, and the idea that the mirror is this sort of it's more than a shield, but it's this idea of wisdom. And also just this idea that this, you should see the sword at some point. I'll show you, like, you know, pictures of them, but like I'll have you have to look it up and tell you when it is. But like the sword is not a katana.
Are you looking those up, Lean?
Huh?
Are you looking those up by chance? These weapons?
No,
those three items?
I can give you the names for them because I'm on my phone. I'm just trying to tell you stuff right now because I can't really like look. I can't look anything.
Yeah, but
up.
if you give me the names, I can show the images and you can talk about them.
Yeah. Look up the 3 sacred treasures of Japan. Just type in the regalia of Japan. I don't remember the exact name of the mirror or the sword. The sword's like Kusanagi or something like that. I don't really remember. It's like Kusanagi, Kagami, and like.
There you go.
Magatama. Something like, look up. Tell me if I'm right, by the way, because if I am, I'm cool. But so Kusanagi is right. Kusanagi, is that right? Do you see the picture of it?
Yes.
Is it Kusanagi?
Kusanagi?
I'm looking it up.
Someone got to tell me how to pronounce this stuff. And also, because, like, you know, that'll help me remember it better.
It's a model. The picture I show you now is a model. It's not a real one.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. No one's allowed to see the real one. The real one is like, its existence is only confirmed twice. Once in 1993, once in 2019, in this year. And like, I guess probably in the 17th century, you know. But like, so here's the deal: the 6th century to the 17th century. Okay, so what that sounds like is there's just 1,000 years of not a lot of stories. What? Why? Unless there's the flamenco, in which case it makes a lot more sense. Because the story comes right after 666.
Okay, the
Comes in
sword
the
is
flood.
the sword is Kusanagi.
Kusanagi.
The mirror is Yata no Kagami.
And then
And the
the
jewel is Yasakani
Magatami?
no Magatama.
Moritama.
Magatama.
Magatama. Okay, yeah, Maga. Yeah, I got it.
Yes.
All right. I knew it.
Magatama.
This is how my mind works. This is how I remember stuff. Excuse me. So, all right. So, okay. So where are we at? We're talking about, you see the sword though? You see my point about the sword? Like, because the sword is not, the Kusanagi is not like a katana. It's not like a round,
not at all.
curved sword.
I'm showing them right now. If you look at my shared screen, that's the 3 Japanese regalia.
Cool. Okay, so it's like a jade bean. I'm not looking at it. I'm just like, thinking about it. It's a jade bean, and it's a mirror. So that's a circular mirror, like a Trojan sword, like mirror.
It's a shield.
And it's like a Trojan Trajan sword, right? It's like a Greco-Roman, Trajan, Russian.
It's a shield with a star on it.
Yeah, it's got a star, of course. But okay, so that's supposed to be a mirror. That's what they call it, the mirror. So it reflects the force of the sword. But the sword also is not a katana. It's not a curved sword. Japan's supposed to be the place where they've had steel for the longest, right? They've had ancient stainless steel forever. So what the hell is this thing? It's an ancient sword that's like the cloud cutter, right? I think that's what it's referred to, is the cloud cutter. And it's not a Japanese traditional style. It's like maybe it is, but it's a Trojan Tartarian style. Everywhere you go look up Troy and look at the swords they had in Troy. It's the sword from Troy. And that's kind of weird. So, like the history of the Kusanagi, according to the god Susanoo, the Kojiki, is that right? Like the Kojiki is like the memories, the ancient memories of Japan. There's like a book story that's all about the history of the sword, and that this friggin' 8-headed serpent of Koshi, the Orochi, just is consuming all these people. It's destroying everything, and there's like 7 families that have 8 daughters, and the creature was coming for the final daughter. And it basically, that led to the need of this sword. So the sun goddess, and the wind brother in the darkness, and the sword comes out, and it saves the family. And then that's what the emperor comes from, is he's the last of the families of the lineage that survived this crazy event with the serpent thing in the water, right? So, it seems like it's it seems like it's kind of on the level of being a deluge story, and then that the Koshi monster, the Orochi, it's got it's got this crazy Hydra thing going on. It's got all these heads, and then when they kill it with sake. So they make this fermented rice wine that they put on all the fences, and when the monster goes for it, it gets drunk, and they slay the beast. So it's like, that's kind of weird. But they don't just cut off its heads. They have to cut off all the heads at the same time and then cut off the tail. And there's 4 tails. And then there's a sword inside the body. There's a bunch of people that have died, and inside the body they get the sword out. So I don't know if that is because maybe it was produced by the excrement waste or the minerals of this monster, but it sounds like is that they pulled it out of the body. So, but I can see how it could be literally that they fabricated it from the monster at that time. However, maybe it's just Antigua tech that was swallowed, like in that movie Jaws, where they find the license plate. Okay, so Kaiko means emperor, right? So Tenno Kaiko is the majesty, his holy emperor or whatever you call it. And so there's this shrine, the ice shrine, or the icy shrine, that is designed to protect the emperor. And so they put these friggin' things in the mountain. like, I really want to go see it. So send money to charterinova.com. But like the thing, just kidding. But like the thing is, like in the mountain, you can't see it, so don't worry. Like you can't even get to it. Like the thing is hidden, but you can go to the shrine. You can just see where the box would be. But like for 300 years or 1300, depending on how you think, these items have been hidden in this box. And when they moved them, like 1990 whatever, like because they were doing some sort of a cleanup thing, like the emperor got super sick, he almost died, and that's what led to the new emperor taking over. And so there's like a crazy anime about that. Do you know what I'm talking about? The one where it's like an 80s anime with like a girl who's got like fox ears, and the kid goes in and he opens up the cave of his parents' shrine and pulls out his sword, and there's like demons that chase him all the time. Is that every anime ever? My bad.
No, that's not every anime ever, but I just don't know.
I'll find it because like there's a couple really important ones. Lensman came up the other day, which was really important too. I recommend.
That's all depending on what you find important.
Well, if you find Tartarian history important, you'll be surprised how much history you'll find in anime. I mean, I hope I've taught that cartoons have a lot of secret history. Japanese stuff is like educated cartoons. I don't love all anime, don't get me wrong, but a lot of it has some secret knowledge about the Trilateral Commission or the Rockefellers, like the many families. Gundam, my gosh, Gundam's just all about the aristocracy that lasts for centuries. But okay, so whatever, Records of Ancient Matter, the Kohiki has this article called the Furikotofumi, and it's supposed to be from the 8th century, so 711 to 712, which is basically the time of Islam, and it's the perfect time because it's Japan's Edo period, so it's cut off from this crazy experience up until the 17th century. So they have this 100 years or 1,000 years to become static, and they have all these crazy traditions, and mainly like they talk about like the Shinto practices of handing down the energy and the sun goddess. And so I've been looking at the Temple of Diana, and it was originally a temple to Augustus, but during the age of shifting out of Taurus to Pisces, it became a feminine worship. Did I just get cut off, or is it still working? I heard. Hello?
Hello?
I'm still here?
Yeah.
I heard some kind of like a hang-up sound. I wasn't sure what that was.
No, nothing here. That may have been Discord on my side.
Oh, okay. Makes sense. Is there some new one? Is there someone else added to the call yet? Oh, yeah,
Yes.
Nathan's here. That's what's going on.
Hello.
Nathan,
Hello.
we're talking about the regalia of Japan. I'm nearly done with it. I wanted to mention a little bit about the sun goddess, the 8-headed serpent, Orochi. Also, okay, the history of the Kusanagi no Tsurugi, because the Kusanagi is the sword, but Kusanagi no Tsurugi is the name of the sword. It's a lot longer of a name. So Tsurugi is like star, is like tar, and it's Tsurugi, but that's romanticized from Japanese. So there's this ancient tale about the Tartarian sword, is the long story short, that Japan needs in order to have an emperor. The emperor nearly died when they moved it, and then he literally abdicated the throne in April, and now we have a new emperor of Japan, and that's Naruhito, right? And Naruhito is called the Waiwa, or whatever you call it, like the Rhea new empire. So this is this crazy new empire that's happening, and it's all kind of tied together around the Tartarian sword, mirror, and jewel, which the Japanese have been handing down forever, or at least since the 700, whatever, 600, 700, because like 690, 680, and then 17th century flamenco. So I don't know, pretty interesting. That's my spiel. Glad you're here.
Crazy. That's badass. Sorry I'm so late, guys.
That's cool.
There was a detour, and so had to drive for an extra 15 minutes.
Gravy.
It was a good morning, though.
That's more important.
I had a
So what
good
is
day
this?
too.
The Tsurugi?
Yeah, Kusurugi is a pretty important thing. The Kusanagi, is the name of the sword. It's a Trojan-style sword that the Japanese have, and it's without it the emperor can't function. I guess we could probably you could probably watch this part again because it's not like super valuable. But the main thing that I found interesting about it is that the emperor just got switched. There's a new emperor now. And this is how they revealed it because they've been hiding it. They're like, well, we can't confirm it exists because then it gets stolen. Well, then it was like shipped or something like that by the Japanese Empire from one province to another province or something like that for the event. And so at the Ise shrine, Ise, which is Ise in English, like that's very close to in the Kyoko province is pretty close to where they think Jesus was buried. The Japanese have a cave there that they think Jesus Christ was buried. So,
nuts.
I mean, the Tartarian sword, the fact that it's called Kusunugi, but it's really like Kusunugi no Tsurugi, Tsur.
I know this. This is the snake sword, right?
Yeah, right, totally. It killed the 8-headed
Hell yeah.
serpent. They got a serpent drunk with sake, and then they killed its 8 heads at the same time and cut off its tail.
Dang.
I mean, it's just straight out of Babylon.
Kusanagi no Tsurugi.
No, I needed you here. You're right. I needed you to pronounce all the words right. See, I've been reading
Hey,
this stuff.
I did that just not 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I don't
Mike
like
does
you did
that.
it. Forget it, Mike. Forget it. No one does it. No one does it like Nathan does it. Don't give me that. Don't give me that value. Don't give me that value meal. Whatever.
You can have your value meal. Only
Hello,
3.5
nurse.
euros.
Wait, go down. What's that anime right there? That anime right there. Hold on. That was it. Go back to your mic. Mike.
Oh, me?
Yeah. What's that
This
anime?
one?
Right down. That anime right there. What is that one?
I don't know.
Okay. That's the show I'm talking about. I don't know what it is, but there's a show that's kind of about this. And it's like a
Destiny
kid.
Ninja.
Destiny Ninja.
Ultimate.
Okay, so some of these shows like kind of talk about this, and I need to do some research in anime with you, Nate.
Naruto actually talks about that. Orochimaru is the snake, and they actually have to find the Kusanagi.
That's sad.
But yeah, it's famous enough to have been everywhere.
Without it, there is no Japanese empire. So, I mean, that's pretty interesting. And then talking about how Japan never really surrendered properly, and that the San Francisco Treaty for us cleaning up Japan, that's pretty interesting. I think we're getting to a point where we're going to find that the Japanese have a bit more power than we ever thought. And I think that's very interesting. If you think about the treaties with the Hyperboreans. Is that so funny? What?
No.
It's wonderful.
This image is so.
Why do Europeans think that that's so cute? This is the only stereotype I really believe in, is that Europeans find that kind of like post-anime drawing like hilarious.
So continue with the Hyperborean thing.
Well,
what are you saying?
I mean, that was about as inaudible as like a distress call from Chernobyl. But I think what you were asking about was something to do with the treaty. So the thing about Japan and Hyperborean is like, okay, so if there is some sort of a...
Is Andreas frozen?
Am I frozen? Uh-oh. Am I frozen?
I think Andreas may be frozen at your place.
Am I okay now? Can you hear me, Mike?
Yeah,
I can hear
okay.
you.
Oh, great. I was worried. Yeah, you were probably walking around, Nathan. Oh, okay, so the Hyperborean...
Oh, everything's back.
Yeah, it all worked out.
Me. I'm on a laptop.
So, okay, I don't want to go too far into, like... We try real hard around these parts to, like, you know, overview ourselves with hypothesis and hyperbole if we don't know something. But having said that, there seems to be enough evidence to me that there are other nations, shall we say, of other kinds of people, perhaps, Who knows if that's really what they are? But this has been sort of the idea that people disappeared and that World War II never really ended, not appropriately. We're in some sort of a number of battle treaties, but not an actual war treaty. So I'm interested to find out more, but a lot of that has to do with the idea that Japan is still kind of in charge, and mainly why the trilateral commission exists, because they had to make a trilateral commission because the Bilderberg doesn't work with Japan. Interestingly, how is Japan not part of the trilateral? I mean, they have to do something with Bilderberg to make a deal with the trilateral. That's
be
weird.
able to provide an answer in that. They left the what is it? The people, the nation committee way before World War II. That was a pre-UN type of deal. The Committee of Nations.
Mm-hmm.
And they left that before World War II.
You mean the League of Nations?
League of Nations. Thank you.
The committee. Jeez. Okay, so wait. So the League of... You're
saying, right. So you're going to correct me now. Go.
Well,
Japanese. Japanese.
Each good turn deserves another. So you're saying that the Japanese left the League of Nations, the lawn? They got off the lawn. When? When did this happen?
Pre-World War II.
Okay, so Japan was out of the League of Nations. So because of that, they were able to avoid a serious treaty. But the thing about it is, Japan still, in the 80s, lost a bunch of properties, right? The Japanese government owned freaking islands, the way the Chinese now do. So, the Chinese have a dragon emperor, too. So, I mean, China's power is just overwhelming. I don't mean to be but, seriously, it's impressive. You know what I mean? How are they able to control the amount of wealth? Well, a lot of it is that they believe that they ought to because of the celestial bureaucracy, because they can control the weather. That's what the ancient Chinese believed, because they had astronomy. And also because they're descendant from a dragon, because there's the monkey king and there's the dragon. So there's a dragon egg which a monkey kid's born from, right? I think there's a lotus flower. There's a great anime that's in China right now. It's all about the monkey king. So there's a lot of things going on in China that carry this over. And also, what is this Asian influence? Because it's an entirely different it's an entirely different culture. It's something that's kind of considered kind of separate. Why is that? What is it that makes it so? Why is it using ancient Egyptian style hieroglyphics? What happened? These are the kind of questions I kind of wonder, more and more. But okay, so wait, where were we at just a second ago? I forgot.
Japan has its own Excalibur.
Yeah, okay, Excalibur of Japan, Tartarian Excalibur of Japan. Well,
makes a lot of sense. We just somebody just shared the building of Japanese forces along the Siberian coast, and we know they've had this long-standing thing with Russia, and all the revisionist military history says that the U.S. was counting on making Japan make the first attack to Russia to keep them occupied. So we know that at least since the 40s and 50s, Japan's actually had a heavy presence in Northeast Russia. And so I wonder how far back that goes.
Well, okay, so going a little bit further beyond Portuguese and Latin, right? 'Cause you look at Latin as backwards Etruscan, and we don't really know, but I have a theory now. I have a hypothesis. If we started to look into Portuguese as sort of Portugal being kind of the little Spanish province that could escape, that kept trying. They didn't give up. They're they're the independent state that didn't give up, because every part of Spain is like Portugal. It's Andalusia, Extremadura, Catalonia, Galicia. My gosh, the Basque state. They're all basically speaking their own language, doing their own thing. What's the main difference? Well, they're all part of Spain, and Portugal's not. So I mean, all we know is that Spain forced these people to speak this way, and they did it in churches, and they did it the same way that they supposedly did it in Native America. Which is creepy if you think about it. It means that these guys did this in a very quick amount of time.
Yeah.
Completely erased the way people spoke, what they used to believe in, spited the faces on their buildings, said that they were their own buildings, came in with weird bird masks and freaking incense, man. God, I was at the Franco grave and I saw the mass, and there's dudes in the dark is a cave with like candles. It was pitch black almost. This guy's swinging around frankincense, and it was just like
They,
it was like Exorcist on Blu-ray.
uh-oh, you froze.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello? Yeah,
Oh,
I can hear you,
no,
but
is
I cannot hear you.
I think it's Nathan.
Nathan,
Maybe. Oh,
it's not me.
okay. Then
Hmm?
maybe it's Mike, because Mike just dropped out of the call. I
Oh,
wonder if he
yeah.
knows how to get back in. I hope he does.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
He'll be back. We'll give it a second.
All right. So, yeah,
Yeah.
changing the local languages. Russia just did that
Okay,
3
so they
times in
switched
their
all those
schools.
languages, and then Portugal still holds on to it, and so Brazil and Portugal, which is a weird thing, a tiny little spot, has half of the known world, of the new world. So there's something weird about that, and it's basically Galatian. It's a Gaelic language. It has more Celtic roots, and it has a lot of these sounds like ooh and sh, and it's like very like sh. It's like all of these very like Slavic sounds. So Slavic language is also Greco. So you have this Greco-Tartarian, Slavic, Galatian, Celtic language, which explains a lot. Oh, did we just lose everybody? Guess so. Hello? It's all by myself. All by myself. All
Hello?
by myself. Oh, Lynn's here. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Well, I'm gonna keep recording because forget it. Why give up? There we go. Moro's back. I was worried. Okay, so they have this language.
This won't be live anymore.
There's some weird stuff going on with this call.
Yeah.
Well, let me just finish my last bit because it'll probably YouTube will save it just fine. So my point is, they took these languages and they tried to destroy them. It didn't quite work the way they wanted to, and now we have evidence through the Slavic Celtic tongue that the Portuguese have. And so where are the Japanese? The Japanese are in Brazil. The biggest Japanese state outside of Japan, is Brazil. There are 2.5 million Japanese that live in the center of Brazil, and so Brazilian Japanese are very important. Like you need to know about Brazilian Japanese. Like you need to know that they're a people, that there are millions of them, that they're the size of a state, and that they're expanding. The culture of Brazilian Japan is kind of like a reset. Like if Japan was destroyed, it almost wouldn't matter because there still are Brazilian Japanese. Not that you should think that it doesn't matter, because Japan does. But I'm just saying, like, they've figured out how to keep living. There are plenty of them in the Peruvian rainforest now, too. They've ended up all in the Chaco, similar to what the Germans did after World War II. So the Japanese are very associated with Portuguese, and there's a language in the Spanish region just north of Portugal that the people of the Basque state speak. It's called Basque, and the Basque language it basically has the sounds of Latin, but it has the grammar of Japanese. The only language that in the world has the same grammar as Basque is the Japanese language. So it's very strange, and it makes you wonder, like, what is the correlation? Well, if you've got a deluge story, and there's some sort of a connection between the the early Ainu native Japan, to Europe, and they were on boats, and the Formosians were there. Well, then maybe there's something there, that there was like a lost language that was mostly destroyed, but the traders on boats kept the grammar. They used new words, maybe they used new sounds because they were talking to people, but they weren't in church, so they weren't completely erased. So a lot of the time you've got like Jamaicans speak English poorly. You know what I mean? You probably have Vietnamese or Cambodians that you meet someday that speak Mandarin or Cantonese poorly, right? There's probably some people that speak it poorly, and that it might have to do with the fact that they're immigrating or that they're traveling and they're meeting all kinds of people all the time. So if that's the case, maybe we're seeing like the evidence that the Basque and the Japanese are connected to the Slavic Tartarians in Portugal, which are then connect to the empire in the Amazon, and why they're burning down all this stuff. Oh yeah, and look at the symbol for the Basque, right? You just saw it, which is that four-part spiral. So it all syncs up. That's the symbol of Japan. That's the symbol of Germany. That's the symbol of the Basque. That's the symbol of the ancient world. It's the original compass. So